Hi, this is TAPinto, a podcast on local and regional issues, and I'm Steve Chernowski. This segment is called Take Me to Your Leader, where we meet local leadership and get to know more about them. Today, I'm with the mayor, Janice Kovach, of the town of Clinton in Hunterdon County. She's also the secretary of the New Jersey Democratic State Committee. Janice, welcome. How did you end up in Clinton, and what got you interested in local politics?
So I actually grew up in Clinton.
Okay. All right. Wow.
I graduated Clinton Public in North Hunterdon. And, it's always funny in high school, you're like, you're getting out of Dodge, right? I swore I was
Totally.
getting out of Clinton and getting out of New Jersey. I got out of Clinton for a little while, but never got out of Jersey. I don't think you can ever quite get out of Jersey.
Jersey follows you around everywhere.
It does. And then with my children, I wanted them to grow up in a community that I grew up in. I wanted them to experience what I had as a kid, being able to ride your bike to your friend's house or downtown for an ice cream. Of course, they go for coffees now. They don't go for ice cream because, they're too cool for that. But, that was that whole experience. Your neighbors look out for you. Everyone knows everyone else, which is also good and bad because then everyone knows everything. But we're a community here, and it's all part of family. So that's why, obviously, I came back because it's home. Politics. So it's interesting, a roundabout way. I wanted to be an actress as a kid. I was dying to be like in a school play. So my first fine arts class in high school, I had the theater teacher pull me aside and say, "You need to find another vocation because you can't sing, dance, or act."
Ooh, what year? That's rough for a teen. I've been teaching for over 20 years. I don't know if I have the guts to say that to a kid.
Freshman year, it broke my heart. And I really can't sing or dance. I thought I could act, and she just said, no, that wasn't the case, and I needed to find another way. So, it took a little bit of soul searching and a couple of careers later, but the back door to the stage is through politics.
Look at our former president. Yes, right.
Right?
So yep.
But no, I mean, I love. For me, this is my third career. I worked in the corporate world for 12 years, running divisions and working with customers. And I always loved the aspect of being able to help and know that something that we did fixed something for someone or made it better. And politics is the same way. I mean, I always hate to tell someone I'm a politician because I really believe myself to be more of a public servant.
Okay.
I will do whatever I can to help someone in need, whether it's in my community or any of the other communities around. And politics lets me do that. It gives me that avenue to give back to a community that gave me so much as a kid.
What year did you first run for mayor?
So my first involvement in politics, I ran for council in 2003, and I won the council seat. So I sat on town council 2004, 2005, ran for state assembly in 2005. I lost. Yep. In 2006, I was appointed by Governor Corzine to run the New Jersey Division on Women. So I went there for 4 years. And 2010, I left with the new administration. And in 2011, I ran for mayor and started serving in January of 2012, and have been there ever since.
Cool. And there's a run for Congress in there as well. You don't want to downplay that. And then also that was one of my questions. You're a big advocate for women's issues. Can you talk a little more about that work, what you did for the Corzine administration, and what you've done since on that?
Sure. So the division funded the displaced homemaker. So technically by legislation, a displaced homemaker is a woman who lost her primary source of income due to death or divorce from the spouse. Obviously, we know that really isn't the true definition because it's someone age 40 or older. But the Displaced Homemaker Program is a statewide program that is just unbelievable, and the support that it gives to women as far as job training, helping with housing, anything and everything you could potentially need to become economically self-sufficient and to learn the skill sets needed is what displaced homemakers would work with. And we had programs throughout the state. We also funded all of the 21 sexual assault programs throughout the state. and we worked with the domestic violence programs. We did have at one point in time Hispanic women's centers as well as urban women's centers. Unfortunately, they lost their funding and went away. And then the big event that we would do is the Governor's Conference for Women in Atlantic City, where we'd have, between 2,000 and 4,000 women descend on Atlantic City to listen to speakers. And, we really worked hard to get some big names. So we had Maya Angelou one year. Oh. We had Robin Roberts, Susie Orman. We brought them in because they were there to talk to the women. So like I said, we funded the programs. I spoke with them. I advocated for them. One year when they were talking about cutting funding for the displaced homemaker, we went around, remember the little handy camcorders?
Yeah.
We went around with, I'm dating myself here. No. We went around with a camcorder and we interviewed women that were in the program, because too many times when you look at the numbers, you can make the numbers work however you wanted to, but when you actually hear the stories of the women who were served by these programs, it's hard to say no at that point in time. And I had a friend that then took it, edited it, and Displaced Homemaker program had copies made and sent them to all the legislators. And I don't believe they got their funding cut that year.
Interesting strategy where politics, intersects with humanity, and a face, right? A face does matter. Faces really does matter even more, plural. Yes. So getting into some more issues that you've dealt with as mayor, what are the three biggest issues right now, I think, that you would say face your town?
Development.
Oh, wow. It really is. It's everywhere. I can't get away from it.
Here's the thing, it was interesting because I did a webinar today with the acting commissioner of the DEP, Sean LaTourette. And what's interesting about his perspective is he's looking at it that you can be good stewards of your environment as well as drive economic development. And it was heartening to hear that, because that's always the struggle we have, right? It's don't develop because you're taking away the beauty and the what we have out here, that environmental infrastructure. But then you also need the economic development for your communities because they're dying. And this last 14 months has truly been a strain on our communities. So, it's obviously my biggest frustration is the affordable housing. Yeah. And it's not providing it, it's the roundabout way and the court's involvement in affordable housing, and someone who sits again crunching numbers to come up with that magic number
the units,
of how many I'm supposed to build. So when 5 years ago now, when we started the whole round 3 with affordable housing, we had they came to us and said, oh, you need 200 new affordable housing units. So the town of Clinton has a little over 1,000 housing units total.
I'm looking. This isn't Clinton Township, people. This is right. This is small. I'm looking at a map of your town now. Yes. It seems smaller than Lambertville, which is hard to believe.
Yes, we're 1.3 square miles.
Yeah, so about the same. Yeah.
Right. And we didn't own any property. So as part of affordable housing, when a developer comes in to develop, they give you 1 unit, but then they get 4 market rate units.
Yes.
So that 200 units now turned into 1,000 new housing units, which is double my existing housing population in a town that's 1.3 square miles. So it took a lot of work to get them to understand. I mean, obviously we managed to show them what was right, what wasn't right, what we needed to do. And the number is still reduced, but I'm still going to have a 30% increase in my housing stock based on the obligations that the state has determined we must meet.
That's a big number.
It is. It really is. And here's the thing, so then you've got the affordable housing, and you've got individuals who believe affordable housing is Section 8 housing, which it is absolutely not. Affordable housing in Hunterdon County isn't as affordable as you would think it would be. So it's, making sure that individuals, especially seniors who are trying to downsize, can still stay in the communities in which they raise their families. So we're dealing with that, obviously. We're dealing with, you know, you've got warehousing that is, you know, moving west slowly but surely. And, you know, trying to explain to individuals and residents, private property has, you know, based on zoning, they're allowed to do certain things. And there's nothing we can do if they meet the guidelines of the zoning. So, you know, you take that and then you have a project that comes in and asks for a variance, and they meet all of the requirements of the variance, and they're looking to be good community partners, but because it has a tag of a warehouse,
yep,
everyone comes out. So it's constantly balancing and making sure there's enough information out there so that people don't jump to conclusions. I mean, I saw, and we all got to love social media, right? I happened to see a post, someone misread the article around the A&P property and said there's going to be 6,000 apartments. There's no way we could even support 6,000 apartments in the town of Clinton, let alone on the property that used to house the A&P. So people are letting the drama and fear and just everything else kind of snowball, which then creates. So I try to keep information out there so that it's not a shock to anyone. You know, anything that I can share, I make sure that I do. And then, you know, I try to encourage residents to participate in the meetings. I mean, the democratic process is you all get a voice and you get a say in how something is done. But there are also rules around what can and can't be done. And when someone meets the rules, the project gets to go forward, and someone doesn't get something built, someone gets something built in their backyard.
No, I mean, it's becoming more and more of a narrative everywhere I go around interviewing people. It's just, it seems to be about exactly what you said, development. And it's like, there's no bad guys, right? Like everybody's got a good point of view here. Like people trying to preserve a space, that's really important. Like preserving that space environmentally, though, you know, say is very important. And other people that are trying to, you know, be very pro YIMBY and develop, they're saying, look, there's social justice things that have to do with this. Like you have to do this. And then, you know, of course, you know, when you balance budgets, you have to have ratables. And so like, and grain population and all of those things. And it's like, and then this, how it domino impacts the schools. And so it just, I wish sometimes everybody would just see themselves as there's no bad guys. There's everybody's, well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes, I mean, sure. But it seems like everybody a lot of times has good intentions, and then they're still going to go onto social media, say, or yell at their neighbors.
Yes.
And then a lot of times spread information that's just flat out wrong.
Right.
How do you manage that as mayor? Like, I mean, like, I know politicians, I mean, I don't want to say that as a bad word, but I know mayors and other people, they always want to get their own messages out, but how do you better educate, you know, your residents?
I try to not respond to every comment. What I will do is if I see a post that's incorrect, I will post something to clarify. There are times it's not worth sometimes getting into a back and forth because someone is looking for an argument. And I'm not going to give them the argument. I'll always encourage people to call me. I will meet for coffee. I will have a phone conversation, whatever it is. It's sometimes easier than explaining it on a chat or in a comment so that it doesn't get misread or misconstrued. We try to do I'm always pushing for people to attend meetings. You know, we make sure that anyone that participates has time to speak, ask questions. You know, we try to get them the answers that they want or need. Here's what it comes down to. It really is a balance, and knowing that we need to preserve the communities that we have, because that is my ultimate goal, is preserving the town of Clinton. But I still need to be able to fund the services that everyone has come to expect. So there's a balancing act with that. It's, you know, maybe we preserve some and build on others. And then preservation itself gets expensive, because when you're looking at a $6 million price tag for a town budget that is under 5 million, that's a hefty price tag that you're going to ask people to pay for the next 30 years. So those are all the difficulties in balancing. And, add to that, as president of the league this year, I'm hearing it from all of my counterparts in other towns.
So yeah, can you tell us more about your work with the League of Municipalities? Like how, I imagine you're getting stories from all over that are very differing, but similar, right? Like similar, yes. Like in Clinton, you have a lot of restaurants, you have, I'm sure, a lot of weddings because people are taking photographs in front of the Red Mill. And how do you reboot that? And I'm sure you're getting similar but different stories from around the state.
I love the league. They have been an advocate for all the towns, and you've got 565 towns in the state. So, and every single one of us considers ourselves the only town and the only important town. So, you got 565 mayors that are all opinionated and wanting to do what's in the best interest of their communities. So we have a diverse state. We try to take positions that are consistent with the majority, and in some cases on issues, and I'll use cannabis as a perfect example. Towns are from one extreme to the other. Counties are from one extreme to the other as far as whether or not they're going to allow anything to be part of their community. So from the league's perspective, we didn't take a pro cannabis or against cannabis. What we said is, you need to make sure that you give the municipalities the tools that they need to be able to make the right decision for their town. And whether it's through zoning or funding, whatever it may be, taxes, they need to make what works for them. And the league, I think, has done a fabulous job with it. It is a great group of individuals. The staff is unbelievable. The executive director and deputy director are only been in the role for a year, and they literally came in the middle of the pandemic. So we've had to readjust and pivot daily, including with the League of Municipalities conference in Atlantic City last year. We went all virtual. Yeah. This year we hope to be, we plan to be in person in Atlantic City in November, because I think we'll be at a place where we can. It'll look a little different. It'll feel a little different, but when you don't have that interaction with each other, it's hard to share ideas via Zoom. I mean, you can, but I'm zoomed out. I'm zoned and zoomed. I want to be able to talk to people face to face again. I miss that interaction.
Yeah, no, I mean, and talk about a town that's been hit bad, Atlantic City. I mean, losing all those conventions. I mean, I guess they got, COVID tourism now because you're getting your shots, but still, it's an underdog city. I got married there. So I always root for it. So, as far as COVID in Clinton, I was up there a lot. I was telling Marlene Baldinger, I was up there a lot, quite a bit around, the reservations in Spruce Run. And did you see like almost an increase in people like who couldn't get on airplanes, and like people who wanted to go more local, but then your restaurants, can only seat certain amount of people? Like Clinton's a tourist town, right? Like that's how I view it. Yeah. What was last summer like?
It was interesting. Saturday mornings, I never knew what emails I was going to get, whether I was going to get people complaining about people wearing masks or people complaining about people not wearing masks. And we did have some tourism. Obviously, we had a lot of people fishing. I don't think I have seen that many people fishing in the last 8 years. They were lined up, they were ready to go. And because the state parks had been closed at that point in time in April, they all came to the local rivers. So, we were inundated with that. We didn't get overwhelmed. I think we didn't host any events. We were careful not to have anything that would draw large crowds. Right. We did the music on Main Street, the Friday night music, 2 bands. Normally they'll do 4 or 5 venues. They just did 2, just to have a little taste of something coming out. But what I really, as hard as it was and as bad as it was for COVID, what I saw from the community is more families picnicking in the park, more families walking together, and lots of dogs. Everyone's got a dog now.
Well, yeah, me included. We got one last month.
There you go.
I was the no vote, but what am I going to be, the bad guy?
You can't be the bad
No.
I had puppy, but we bred my dog and we had puppies in October.
Oh, wow.
From October to December, I had 8 puppies. It was an experience.
I bet. They get up, there's no alarm clock.
No.
So.
Not at all.
So I guess I'll kind of close with, Mayor, Route 78 and 22 bisect your town. It looks like most of the homes there are in the northern part of 78 above the interstate. Mm-hmm. And many people across the state, as you know, as president of the League of Municipalities, that a lot of people use Route 78 as the dividing line between North and Central Jersey. So important question, is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
Pork roll. I don't know why. For whatever reason, we grew up saying pork roll. I think it's because of my grandmother. No,
you're west. You're a little west. So 78, but they don't figure those people in Phillipsburg, they might as well be Pennsylvania. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, we say sprinkles and not Jimmy's, though.
Oh, wait. So, okay. All right. Wait. Yeah. All right. So that's, you're.
So we're messing it up. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a sub there, right? Not a hoagie.
Yeah, oh, yes. Absolutely a sub.
A sub. Unless you're at the Wawa, of course.
Yeah. Unless you're at the Wawa, which is only one in Flemington. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Mayor Janice Kovach, thank you very much for being here today on TAPinto. Again, I'm Steve Chernosky. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.